I'm having to re-record this because my live didn't save. But I am going to re-record this so you guys can have solving equations. Okay, so we're going to start with one-step equations. So W plus 14 equals negative 8. What I like to tell my kids is to split the equation down where the equal sign is. So we make a left side and we make a right side. So if you're like looking at it, this is your left side, that's your right side if you're like looking at it left and right. Okay, so we have W plus 14 equals negative 8. So what your goal is to isolate this variable to one side of the equation. It doesn't matter which side, leave it on the side that it's on, okay? Don't try to switch it to that side. Try to leave it on this side and get rid of everything else that is on that side, okay? So the way you do that is by doing inverse operation. Anytime you're solving equations, you always do inverse operation to get rid of something. And in this case, if you see addition or subtraction, here's a little hint. If you see addition or subtraction in your problem, then you're going to be using addition or subtraction like to isolate the variable, okay? So as long as you see addition or subtraction within your problem, you'll always use addition and subtraction to isolate the variable, okay? Until you don't see it anymore, and then you might have to use another operation. But in this case, since we see addition and subtraction, I know I'm going to use addition and subtraction to isolate the variable. So I want to get rid of this 14. And so what I do is I do the inverse operation, but I look before it to find the inverse operation. It's addition before it. So the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. 14 minus 14 will give you 0. Just leaving you with that W on that side. And negative 8 minus 14. This is integer rules, so make sure you know your integer rules. Negative 8 minus 14 is negative 22. Okay, so that's how you solve a one-step equation. Let's keep going. Let's continue to do a one step for right now. So again, split your equation down the middle where the equal sign is, and it goes from a left side to a right side. And so we want to isolate this h, so we want to get rid of this negative 13. Okay, so to get rid of it, well, there is addition and subtraction within this problem, so I know I'm going to use addition and subtraction to solve. So I look at the operation that's in front of the number I want to get rid of, and it's subtraction. Yes, it's a negative, but it's subtraction. They look the same. So in this case, we're going to add 13 to both sides. Add 13 to both sides because negative 13 plus positive 13 will give you 0. You have h is equal to negative 5 plus 13, which is 8. Okay, which is 8. So that's how you solve one-step equations. Now, here's another one-step equation. Negative 4r equals negative 28. If you notice, there's no addition or subtraction, so we know we're not going to use addition or subtraction to solve here. We're actually going to use, if we're not using addition or subtraction, there's only 2 more operations, so we can only use multiplication and division. So we say, well, I want to isolate this r, so I want to get rid of this negative 4. We say, what's the operation between the variable and the number is multiplication, so we think to ourselves, we do the opposite of that. So we do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we are going to divide both sides by negative 4. You got to remember what you do to one side, you have to do the other. It's kind of like a balance. So an equation is a balance. If I do something, add something, or take away something from one side, then it becomes unbalanced if I don't do the exact same thing to this side. But if I do the exact same thing, then it becomes balanced again. Equations always have to stay balanced, otherwise you're changing the problem, and that would not be good. So back to this one. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is just 1, but we know with a variable, we don't ever write 1r. It's just understood that it's 1. So we can just write r. And then negative 28 divided by negative 4 is a positive 7. Okay, let's do one more. Split it where the equal sign is. So we have x divided by 5 equals 11, or 11 equals x divided by 5. There's no addition or subtraction, so we know we're not going to use that. So we do have to use either multiplication or division. So we want to isolate this x, and we say, well, what's the operation between those two? Well, it's division, so we're going to do the opposite. And so we're going to multiply both sides by 5. 5 times 11 is 55. And then over here, we multiply this by 5. The reason why these 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? Because this is in the denominator. This is actually in the numerator, and we can make it like, you can change it to a fraction so we know it's in the numerator, because you can put any whole number over 1. So if one's in the numerator and one's in the denominator, it's like saying 5 divided by 5, which is just 1. So those become 1, and then you have 1x. Remember, we don't write the 1, it's just x. So x equals 55. Okay, let's move on to two-step equations. 55t plus 150 equals 436. So we split our equation again from left to right side. So in this case, it's a two-step equation. Again, we're trying to isolate the variable. You want to get rid of numbers that are not attached to the variable first. So 150, the farthest one away. So we want to get rid of 150. And our rule still stands. If there's addition or subtraction anywhere within this number sentence, we're going to use addition or subtraction to solve, okay? To solve first. So we want to get rid of the 150, so we look at what's in front of it. That's addition. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So minus 150 from both sides. I can't really write diagonally, sorry. 150 minus 150 is 0. So you just bring down the 55t. And then 436 minus 150 is 286. Now there's no more addition or subtraction, so we know we have to use multiplication or division to solve. Still want to isolate that variable. Multiplication in between 55 and t, side by side. So we are going to do the opposite, and we want to get rid of the 55 because we're trying to isolate that variable. So we're going to divide both sides by 55. 55 divided by 55 is 1. So t is going to equal 286 divided by 55 is 5.2. Okay, so that's how you do that one. Let's do another one. X divided by 3 plus 8 equals negative 7. We're going to split our equation again. It's just easier. Our goal is to isolate that x to one side of the equation. We're going to keep it on the same side. So we do see addition or subtraction. So I know I'm going to use addition or subtraction first. To solve, I want to get rid of 8 because it's the number farthest away from x. I look at what the operation is in front of it. It's addition. So I do the opposite, which is minus 8. Minus 8. And then 8 minus 8 is 0. You get x divided by 3 equals negative 7 minus 8, which is negative 15. And here's a plug for another video. If you don't know how to subtract or add integers or multiply or divide integers, go watch the integers video. Okay, so we have x divided by 3 equals negative 15. So we are doing the opposite operation, which would be multiplying by 3 because that's division. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. Again, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So that's just going to be x. And then negative 15 negative 15 times 3 is negative 45. So x equals negative 45. Let's do another one. Let's do this one. I didn't even do this one on my live, but we'll do it. Okay, so split it. So 12 minus z is all divided by negative 6. So here we go. this is the only rare case when you see addition or subtraction and you don't do it first. This is the only time of this rare case. When you see a division and the numbers divided by the whole thing on top, you need to get rid of that denominator first. So we need to multiply both sides by -6. Okay? Because remember, one's in the denominator, one's in the numerator. So -6 divided by -6 is 1. -6 times 4 is -24. And then we just have what's in the parentheses left. And you can just rewrite it like that. Okay. Now we can solve for z. So we want to get rid of this 12. We look at what's in front of it. Here, there's nothing in front of it, but it's a positive 12. And so we can technically write plus 12 because it's a positive 12. We just don't ever write the positive sign. But the opposite of addition is, my dog is so funny, he's playing, is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. -24 minus 12 is -36. And then we bring down the z, but we cannot drop this subtraction symbol, okay? Do not do that. You cannot drop a subtraction symbol. If it was a plus sign, you could be able to drop it, but we cannot drop this subtraction symbol, so we have to bring it down. Now we have -36 equals -z. We can't have a negative variable. So to do that, all we need to do is take the opposite of it, because the opposite of a negative variable is a positive variable. But if we do that to one side, you have to do it to the other. So the opposite of -36 is a positive 36, and the opposite of -z is a positive z. So you have z equals 36. Okay, let's move on to multi-step. Multi-step, I'm actually going to do another video for multi-step, okay?